teach you how to rise to the occasion. They teach you how to fall to your level of preparation, folks. Solid rest day, solid 2-mile day. My legs sure as hell needed it. Probably gonna jump in the boxing gym a little later on today. Usually the days where I go lower on the mileage and running, I usually try to get in the boxing gym later, which the plan still is to, teach a class here and there, but things have gotten really, really busy as of late. We're gonna have to figure something out. If you are interested in boxing lessons and all that, just get in contact with me and we'll figure this out as football season gets going and all that kind of stuff. So as far as the Move Swiftly thought, today's Move Swiftly thought, I got to give shout out to Rich Eisen, fellow diehard Michigan fan. All right, I'm not a Michigan man because I didn't go there, but I am a Michigan football fan, and I've really dialed in and tuned into a lot of his work as of late. As Michigan is finally relevant, back winning, it's been a blast. But Rich Eisen was someone that years ago, back in when I first got into sports, and he's so I'm bringing him up because just yesterday he hosted SportsCenter for the first time in 22 years. He hosted it, and it's because, as I've mentioned in previous videos, the Rich Eisen show is coming back to ESPN, Disney Plus, and all that kind of stuff. And just the fact that he did that in his tributes to Stuart Scott, booyah, Stuart Scott, that was, the fact that he got emotional as he was thinking about it and understanding the day that Stuart Scott passed, his announcement of that, I believe it was on the NFL Network, his announcement of hearing the news real time was something that really, really hit me, and it hits me to this day because of how public speaking has become my thing. How when you are a shy, reserved kid like I grew up, and you find your voice, you find your passion, you find sports as something that's an outlet in which allows you to develop and grow and create opportunities for yourself because of what you're seeing and what you're dialed into when it comes to sports. When you see things like that, it just gives you encouragement. It gives you hope. It gives you this faith. It gives you this understanding that whatever it is you want to do, with the right mindset, with the right ability, with the right people around you, and making sure you're intentionally putting the right people around you, you can do anything. You can absolutely do anything. So just to have the context of the story, Rich Eisen went on and he hosted SportsCenter for the first time, and there were all these flashbacks of when he first started and how this happened and how that happened, and all the things that he did a top 10 from the last time he hosted SportsCenter. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe all 10 of those plays were actually football plays and stuff like that. And I'm bringing all this up because when it comes to you as a business owner, when it comes to what it is you believe in and how you're going to establish and build your brand, it has to be rooted in something concrete. All right. It's not necessarily about the organization of the company that you are creating as much as it is about you as an individual. How concrete is your mindset? How concrete is the foundation to what it is you're building on? And are you utilizing whatever it is? Again, it's not about how much money a company is necessarily paying you, how much you're paying. It's what kind of people are you bringing in, and are these solid people? That's how you build something special. That's how you build a solid brand. That's how you build something based on rock. Put it right in the cement and not on sand, not some flimsy bullshit that so many of you business owners get it wrong with. Build a solid team. Get yourself around solid people, and then you can have moments like Rich Eisen had. I mean, you get anybody that's been involved and watched sports as frequently as I do, and that's really involved and really dialed into sports. They can feel the energy. They can feel the sincerity and the growth, and the full circle moment was like reciprocal, was one of those things that had the ripple effect for the entire sports industry. So that's another sign, again, that as football continues to inch closer to us, there'll be a lot of these lessons, there'll be a lot of these moments about what's truly great about the game. So take that into consideration. Make sure you're building your business off something that people can actually believe in. All right. So again, all that being said, if you want that type of organization, if you want employees to develop in that kind of way, the main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, it's makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYaMove.com. One-stop shop for you.
Woo! Man, that's a message. That's a message. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day you are consuming this. Great to have you here on the Move Swiftly platform. My name is Aswan Crookshank, and I'm your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time, soon-to-be 6-time published author and educator. I created this whole brand, this whole concept, this whole business, this whole way of life that's all about taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and aligning them with businesses and business owners so they have a staff and a group of employees that moves as efficiently, has the same cohesion, has the same drive, has the same hunger, has the same eagerness to them as a championship high school or youth football team. Welcome to another Win-Trapreneur Wednesday, folks. Oh, the book. The reason I say 5-time, soon-to-be 6-time published author is because the next book number 6, is all about Win-Trapreneurship every single Wednesday. This started over a year ago now. Every single Wednesday, we've been just pushing the concept. And we're here where it's written. The material is where it needs to be. The regular consumption, the system is in place for someone to just take it and knock it out the park, baby. Knock it out the park. And I love doing this. I just started doing this week because of Ray Lewis and Michael Phelps giving that speech to the Ravens. I just started doing it this week, but I'll be starting every show just like that to put me in the right frame of mind to get things done. All right. So as I mentioned, today, as you can see on the title, whether you're listening to this on LinkedIn, YouTube, or on Facebook, we are talking about how to teach teens to go from being cocky to confident. And forgive me if I sound a little off today. Yesterday morning during my run, I got caught in the rain, so a little sniffly at the moment, but I'm still going to do what I got to do. All right. And just so you have some clarity on why I'm teaching it, why I'm specifically zeroing in on teens, is because, as you can see, First Serve, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, has been given the role as site director for an organization named First Serve, where the high school mentors are doing some incredible work. So because it's the first day that they're going to be starting with the students today, I got to give them a shout out. And there's a lot of openings, a lot of opportunity there for me to really get around the high school culture. That's where I come from. I'm always kind of stretching myself and learning about myself as I've been around this younger group of kids for the past couple of years. I've had to mentally adjust, right? We talked about that last week. In terms of me needing to mentally adjust and practicing what I preach. Being around high school and college age students is more my thing. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you here, first of all, and it's an absolute pleasure to be able to get them, to be able to work with them, and shout out to my superiors who thought enough of me that they thought I'd be the perfect person for this role. So all that being said, let me get through a couple of announcements really quick, and then we will get right into the article as we always do around here in the Move Swiftly world. First and foremost, business owners, if you have not yet, go to freeguide.makeitmove.com. That is freeguide.makeitmove.com. Very simple formula that we work from here. It's establishing measurables, number one, adding that to a professional distance, and allowing those things to lead to a productive environment. You need a solid mix of both. I created a very easy to understand 10-step process that you need to be downloading right now. Download it right now so you can start to get the ball rolling. Now, it's not going to solve all your company retention problems and your problems in terms of retention, but it will at least get you thinking in terms of, how do I put some measurables in place? How do I create a professional distance? And putting those two things in place, I'm telling you, the right way. With the right way, you will start to see more of a productive environment, and not an environment where people are it's just fucking dead weight. You don't want dead weight around. You want people that are actually doing something. All right. And next thing, college football. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, folks. Hallelujah. College football is officially back in order. We're ready to roll. All right. And I have a location. I have a location out here in North Palm Beach where I will be hosting a live college football show, breaking down football the correct way. Yes, I said it, the correct way, meaning not just what the quarterback did, what the linemen do, what kind of blitzes did the defense run? Did they pick up on those blitzes? Did the receivers block downfield on run plays? Are the corners coming down and filling the holes, filling the edge on run support? all of those things factor in to what wins and loses football games, not just what the damn quarterback does. So we're going to be breaking all of that down, and we're going to be breaking it down in a way in which is going to serve you as business owners who are looking to build solid teams. There's so many lessons that the game provides naturally if you're looking at the right thing. Now, if you're one of these mainstream media folks that only think about what the quarterback does, then hey, you're not going to get the lessons of the game that are meant to be given. But if you're interested in seeing how it all kind of comes together and how it can continue to serve you, then just join the weekly scenario. It's very, very simple to join. Simply put your email in, and every single week there'll be some sort of weekly scenario in which I'll put out there, get some feedback, and we'll discuss it on the live show as we're, just watching some ball, watching some college football at a local Duffy's. All right. And finally, our favorite people to work with around here are the folks that just say, look, we are not interested in anything free. Tell me what I need to pay for to take your mindset, Oswan, and I want it implemented in my staff. I want it implemented. I want you to take what you think about your growth mindset, your belief, your confidence, the things that you have in yourself. I want you to take it and I want you to implement it in my staff so they move just like you. They start showing up 3 or 4 hours early so they can get certain things done that's going to be conducive to the team. I want you teaching them about how to align the goals and the things that they want with the organization so they don't think that they're stifled by us. I want this mentality you have, Oswald, implemented in my staff, and I'll pay whatever I need to pay to get it there. All right. Love you guys. Again, favorite people to work with around here. Simply go to makeyourmove.com. It's MAKEYAMOVE.com. You see the shop button right there. You can purchase books. You see where the workshop is. You can purchase boxing lessons. All of those things are available for your purchase right there on makeyourmove.com. Turn your business into a championship team. It is common knowledge that the best way to win in business or in life is by avoiding ways to lose. Whether you've just started a new business or you've been in business for quite some time, there is no getting around the need to hire or outsource certain elements of your organization so things can run as efficiently as possible. When you book your meeting with Oswan, he'll diagnose what the issues are with your current system and then strategically create a system in which will lead to a reduced amount of turnover or a clear understanding of the parts of your business that need to be outsourced. Woo! All right. That being said, like I mentioned in the intro, right? We're going through Win-Trapreneur Wednesday. Matter of fact, let me put it right here up on the screen so you guys can see it if you're watching this, not virtually, if you're watching this online. Win-Trapreneur Wednesday, teaching teens to be confident, not cocky. All right, so Yesterday, we dove into a top five. I'll put it right there on the screen. We dove into a top 5 Tuesday on how to develop confidence, not cockiness. Remember, number 1 was putting in the work. Number 2 was putting in the correct work. Number 3 was understanding how to ignore the logical thinkers who are haters or naysayers, basically people who are dressed up as naysayers but like to use their logic to always just make a point. We want to do what we have to do to ignore those folks. Next thing was personal results, and finally, you got to stay ready. You got to be in ready, set position, no matter what. You got to have that. Got to have that right foot back, left foot forward here like this. Got to be in your ready, set position, ready to throw that knockout punch, right? Ready to throw that too. You have to be in your ready, set position if you're going to really be confident. That's what it requires, right? It requires that you get in a good, athletic, solid stance, and whatever comes at you, you're not necessarily dodging it. If you're more so throwing that 2 back, throwing that knockout punch back, because you're always prepared. You're always bobbing, weaving. This is why I love the analogy and the connection between, teaching boxing lessons and teaching Win-Trapreneurship so much, is because a lot of it is just about jab, cross. Duck, bob and weave, moving that head, slip, right? All of that stuff, it's relatable in your business because you don't know what's going to come up, right? So the best thing you can do is actually teach it to a group of young people that have their entire lives ahead of them. That's the big thing. And that's why we're focusing on teens today, is because when you reach a certain age, and I picked up on this. Listen, I've spent a lot of time this weekend really observing teens, and like I mentioned, today is the first day in which the high school mentors are coming in to help out with the students that I teach. When it comes to the teenage mindset, you have to, as adults, we have to, not you, but we have to, as adults, make sure we're teaching the difference between that cockiness and that confidence. That cockiness comes with just activity. That cockiness comes from just the fact that you might have scored 2 or 3 touchdowns last night. The cockiness comes from, the fact that some guy, some girl, or some guy thinks you're cute, right? The cockiness comes from the fact that you may have lost your virginity, right? The cockiness does not come from anything that actually has some substance. Confidence now comes when you get that coach, you get that person, you get that teacher, you get that superior that is hard on you at the beginning, is going to give you the brutal, honest truth, and is going to tell you when you some shit, tell you when you're full of shit, no matter what, and you get them to see where you're going. You get them to give you some praise. That's where the confidence comes from. But it's not going to work if you don't constantly give them the honest feedback about what's going on. And the reason it's worth our time to teach this is because that's what needs to happen. These are our future leaders. These are the people that are going to be taking care of society, and the world is only going to be as good as we leave them. So we got to implement this stuff. The Bible says that. The Bible says that when you train up a child, when they grow up, they will not depart from your ways. But you got to train up a child. You got to train them hard. You got to train them hard. You got to train them hard. Got it? It's got to be very, very intentional. So all that being said, before I go on another word, let's get right. This is why it's so important. This is why it's actually so important for me to make sure articles are written every single week, because as I get on these live streams and I get on these topics, I can start word vomiting, I can start going in, and next thing you know, minutes go by. And I usually keep these around 35 minutes, so I don't keep you on here for too long. But they're Monday through, and for any newcomers, Monday through Wednesday, we're discussing a theme that's going to be rooted in some sort of employee development, some sort of issue. Friday is reserved for Faith-Based Friday. Saturday, we have film session Saturday, and then Sunday, which by the way is not going to be the time frame because football started. We're going to kind of keep those Sundays free. But as it stands right now, we do Stay Hired Sunday. But like I said, we're going to actually be, switch. That format is going to change a little bit because we already know what's going down Sunday. We already know what's going down Sunday. We watching ball and we making sure everything is done before those games start, so we could, we could lock in on the game. And the thing is too, my girl, she wasn't into sports when we met, but I remember telling her, hey, once football season comes around, there's gonna be a lot of lessons, a lot of things that I'm gonna have to teach you about the game and stuff like that. So it's double now because I have to make sure, hey, this game that has provided me with so many lessons, this game that teaches so much that a lot of people get wrong when they analyze it. I got to be the one to come in and say, no, this is what you got to look at. You got to look at the overall being. You got to look at what the line did. You got to look at what the backers did. You got to look at what the tight end did. You got to look at, how they are moving on how the receivers are coming off the ball when it's a run play. When the ball's not going to them, are they coming off the ball just as fast, or are they giving away what the play is because of how lazy they are when they don't come off the ball full speed on a run play and they know they're not getting the ball? All of these things factor into how you run your organization. You can't have people around saying, oh, that ain't my job, so I ain't going to do it. Fuck that. All right. You got to have people saying, whatever job needs to be done, I'm willing to do it. I know what my job is, but I'm willing to do what it takes to make it so the organization becomes great. You want people around like that. You don't want the ladder where it ain't my job, F you. No, you want people around that have the mentality, yes, I know my job, but I'm willing to learn and willing to do what I need to do to make it so the organization grows and we continue to get better, because all of us like being employed, right? All of us like getting a check, right? So we got to have the mentality that we're always going to do what needs to be done in order for the organization to work. That's the mentality of a championship high school or youth football team that you got to get implemented. Again, makingmove.com. I'm doing authentic promos here. I didn't even mean to put that promo out there. But anyway, speaking of First Serve, this is the crew. I'll get into how this all came about throughout the article, but This is the crew. Shout out to Sean. Shout out to Cynthia, the whole Sam, and all of these other high school mentors here. It's going to be amazing. I'm just letting you know now. I'll have more information. Sean has promised. If you're listening to Sean, he has promised that he will be on the podcast at some point. But I told him, let's really make this thing work. Let's make this thing really cracking, and then we'll get you on the show and really break down everything in terms of how the work that we're doing and with the work that we're trying to do. So again, just stay tuned for that. So get into it. It happens in what feels like the blink of an eye. All right. Reading the article now. I'm reading the article directly for anybody that's listening to this on the podcast solely. All right. It happens. What feels like the blink of an eye. One day you're 11 or 12 years old, full of wide-eyed optimism, just trying to figure out where you fit in. Then boom, you're out of high school, out of the bubble, and expected to navigate the real world without a map. That teenage window, it goes fast. Here it is. I'm going to say it again. That teenage window, it goes really, really, I'm adding the really now. It goes really, really fast. And it's one of the most formative, vulnerable, and influential stretches of a person's life. That's exactly why I've grown so passionate about serving this age group. Hear me. Again, my business is for business owners. The company Move Swiftly platform is for business owners who want employee development. And the reason it has gotten to where it is because my passion has been about serving those teenagers, those ones from 11 all the way through 18. So they are walking into the workforce. They're walking into these college campuses. They're walking into their high school graduations with a solid mindset about what it is they want to do, how it is they're going to do it, and the steps that it's going to take for them to be valuable in any capacity. That's where it comes from. It came from me being a college scout, literally going and looking at high school kids and sitting down with their families. That's how this whole thing got started. You've got to understand that is the passion. And that passion led me to say, all right, this is how you offer up your services. All right. So from football fields to the classroom. All right. Over the last 3 years, I've had the honor of working in education, primarily with younger students. But it's when I'm around teenagers. Those are right, let me read it again because I need some water. And again, forgive me because might be a little congested based on the fact that I got caught in the rain yesterday morning. All right, so over the last 3 years, I've had the honor of working in education, primarily with younger students. But it's when I'm around teenagers, those on the verge of adulthood, that I truly feel the fire. That's it. I really feel that fire when I'm around that teenage group of people. I mean, the look on their eyes, the sparkle in their eyes, the hungry, the ambition, the goals that they have at those teen years. It's like, okay, I'm seeing me and them, so we gonna get this going, boy. All right. So because I was blessed. Now, again, we're getting into my story now. Because I was blessed during my own teenage years, I got exposed to real leadership. Yes, I did. During my teen years, I got absolutely exposed to what real leadership looks like. I learned how to win. I learned how to lose. I learned how to navigate adversity and pressure. I didn't just survive those years. I was shaped by those years. Those were the years, folks, that absolutely shaped me because the exposure to real leadership. We won, we lost, we cried, we laughed, we were happy. All the emotions, all the shit that we had to deal with, all right, from those years of fifth grade all the way through high school was absolutely some of the most critical stretches and some of the biggest life lessons that I've ever gotten. Adversity, folks, adversity and pressure, all of that happened during those years. All right. So last week I did a deep dive on all that. If you guys, just simply click that link, you guys can see all that, whether you want to read it or you want to listen to it. All right. So a new assignment aligned with my mission. So here it is. Now we're bringing this current. Recently, I accepted a new role through a partnership between First Serve USA and the Center for Creative Education, where I currently teach. So let me just put the link up there real quick. This is the organization. As you can see, I'm wearing the shirt now. guys can see that. First Serve, great organization, empowering the youth to lead, over 30 years of our mission. Again, we will have Sean here. He has promised to come on the show to talk to you a little bit more about what the organization is all about. Absolutely great organization to work with so far since I've been engaged with them. All right. So here's the truth, though. Here's the truth. Again, I'm reading this directly from the article now. At first, I'll be real with you. I felt some type of way. Why are we beginning another program when I already offer leadership and employee development workshops? So here's what happened. Let me give you some context there. We got an email as a CCE staff. We got an email from our CEO. I believe it was sometime around May, about him engaging some organization about employee development. And long story short is there was some mentions of employee development that as one I wasn't a part of that conversation. So I took that incredibly. I was offended by that. It's almost like, so I'll give you an example. It was like, when I played at Stony Brook, and there was a linebacker. His name was Carl. I'll never forget this because it's going to illustrate the story. Just stay with me on this. All right. So Carl Teague, he was from St. Petersburg, Florida, and he was a very athletic linebacker. Like, he could guard people. He was one of those linebackers that came from a D1 program like UConn and then ended up transferring down to a Stony Brook. So he was one of the better athletes at that level, right? So we were in the meeting room, and Coach Trick there was a specific assignment that was given to somebody else, or he was told to move from guarding somebody, again, which required athleticism. So Carl T, again, one of the better athletes, he was told that he's not going to guard this receiver on the slot. And he was going to be moving to the inside. When this receiver shows up on the field, we're going to adjust and we're going to make this change. Carl, you're going to go inside while somebody else guards him, because basically we don't think you can guard him. So what happened in the meeting room when Carl got told that, Carl goes, I'm actually kind of offended by that. She got offended by that, because that's basically you saying I can't guard so-and-so receiver. It was the same exact way. When I got that email from our CEO, I was like, wait a minute. You're going to engage somebody else about employee development when you have the guy. You have the guy right here. You got the guy. This is what I mean when I say confidence. You got the best person in terms of teaching employee development right here in your building. You don't got time for that. So that was my initial thought. Initially, I'm like, wait, whoa. Okay. But at the same time, as I calmed down, I took a breath, I breathed, I recognized my breaths, I realized it was not a setback, it was actually a set up. All right. And these are the things that become very important. You don't want to react in the moment. You don't want to get crazy, because you actually never know what somebody else may be saying or what's going on behind closed doors. Because I could recall it. My girl could come on right now. She probably, public speaking isn't her thing. Yeah, we're going to work towards that. But she could come on right now and confirm this in terms of, hey, there was a time in which I said, look, I can't, I was upset. I was upset at the fact, the CEO would come to me and he would make little mentions, because I would tell her about, what's going on at work or whatever. So I would tell her that the CEO would keep coming to me and making mentions about how my name is being brought up in meetings that I'm not a part of. And, this person is saying this and this person saying that. And a lot of that was starting to kind of bother me a little bit. It was somewhat subtly bothering me a little bit. But at the same time, again, she was kind of the person that's always like, look, just stay positive. It's nothing. Again, you're putting in your work. You don't have to be, concerning and worrying yourself with that stuff. So all that being said, I'm glad I mentioned all that, because I didn't even plan on going there. But it's necessary for you guys to know. Now, going directly back to the article now. But then I found out I was being considered as the site director. Talk about a humbling circle moment, right? So here's what happened. I'm upset with this organization. I'm upset with the school. I'm upset with everyone, because I'm thinking, okay, they're brushing off my work and they're bringing some other organization in to do employee development. But then I found out, again, I was the one that's being considered as the site director to help facilitate a lot of the things that they're trying to do. So this role allows me to pour into teenagers, not just as a coach or a teacher, but as a Win-Trapreneur, all right, who knows how powerful their mindset is. And that's what has started to happen, folks. The things that I was naturally gifted at doing, the natural fit that I already am, all of this stuff starts to become an opportunity because I did what? I took a breath. Again, you should feel angry now. And this is the thing about confidence, all right? This is why confidence and cockiness get kind of misconstrued and you get confused, is because confidence is going to make it so you're angry, right? You want to be angry. You want emotion. You want to show that you have some passion for what you do, or else what the fuck is the point of you doing it? All right. What is the point of you waking up and doing whatever it is you're doing if you're not going to get angry about certain things? If certain things aren't going to trigger you, if certain things aren't going to put you in a state of mind where you're hungry and you're pushing, what is the actual point, right? So you want that. However, you can't get angry if you're not putting in the work, right? If you're not putting in the work, if you're not laying things out, if you're not doing whatever you possibly can, whatever's available to you, if you're not doing the work, then you don't get to be angry. Then the cockiness comes in because you think you deserve something just based on the amount of years versus what's actually in place and what actual results you've proven. That's the essence of Win-Trapreneurship. So before I keep going, let me define what Win-Trapreneurship is for any newcomers. So what's a Win-Trapreneur? Let's define it again for the newcomers. Win-Trapreneur, a person with a strong entrepreneurial vision for their life, who's had the good fortune of finding a job that pays them every 2 weeks and aligns with that vision. That's what I am, and that's what I want to model. So confidence, real confidence. If we're going to get into how we teach teenagers how to be confident, confidence starts with brutal honesty. If you want to instill true confidence in teenagers, not cockiness, not ego, but real grounded self-assurance, and then there's one thing you need: brutal honesty. Not sugar-coated truth, not soft messaging. I'm talking real talk, because when puberty hits, it's not just growth. It's not just growth spurts and mood swings. It's pressure, peer praise for toxic behaviors, false confidence born from sex, drugs, alcohol, and fake clout. If you don't counter that noise with truth, they will spiral chasing something they'll never find. Let me give you a story. Final story as I close you guys out. The game that changed everything, changed my view on coaching. It was my second season coaching football at Blake High School in Silver Spring, Maryland. We were in a tight game against a run-heavy, grind-it-out type of a team. At halftime, we were still in it. But by the end, a blowout. So by the end of that game, we got blown out. Halftime, again, it's tied. And by the end of the game, we were blown out, right? So here's what happened. And here's the important part of it. After the game, one of our coaches, Coach Tran, who I respected for his fitness background and raw honesty, and is a cancer survivor too, by the way. He's a cancer survivor as well, that he was there to, put together the fitness, the off-season workout program. He was also the running backs coach. He's actually been on this very podcast. The title of his episode is High School Football. It was like when I first started the show. We talked for a whole 2 hours with Coach Tran, all right? So Coach Tran, who I respected for his fitness background and his raw honesty, came down from the booth. He had been up there with the opposing coaches. So this is the game. He comes down from the booth and he's hearing what the opposing coaches were saying about our team, right? Here's what he shared with our team, and it hit me like a brick. I overheard, now I'm telling you directly what Coach Tran said to them. Go, all right? He goes, I overheard the opposing, and he said it with a lot more, vigor than I'm going to say right now. So he goes, I overheard the opposing staff. They weren't worried about losing. You know what they said? Those kids are lazy and they're undisciplined. The exact same things that we've been telling you all season, but you laugh it off. All right. That's what team needs right there. So you guys know, these opposing coaches were not afraid of us coming back. All right, because they're lazy and they're undisciplined. The same things that we see in practice are clear for the world to see. This is what we talked about on Monday, right? When you're talking about confidence, it's going to be clear for the world to see what you're all about, because in these moments when you're tested, they're going to see it. It's going to be plain and simple. Got it? So that's what I learned. That's what teens need. Teenagers need that. They don't need lectures. They don't need friendship. They don't need likes. They need mentors, coaches, and educators who love them enough to say, you're slipping, and the world will eat you alive, absolutely chew you up and spit you out if you don't tighten up. The final word, why this matters. If we want teenagers to grow into confident, responsible adults, if we want them to stand tall in rooms full of noise and distraction, if we want them to lead, build, create, and thrive, then we have to stop lying, okay? Stop lying to them. We must lead them with honesty, wrapped in love, backed by example. We must show them that confidence isn't about being loud, it's about being ready. Let's teach them the difference between attention and respect, between validation and purpose, between cockiness and confidence. And that starts now, because the real world, it doesn't wait. It's not waiting for them, okay? So that's all I got for you guys today. I'm gonna shut it off before I get too fired up. But take this. All right. There's a lot more that we're going to be discussing that are going to be going along these lines. And again, business owners, if you are interested in implementing this type of mentality and educating your staff on this type of mentality, the website is makeyourmove.com. That's MAKEYAMOVE.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker. Check it out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.